Nice.
Oh, so good to see you.
So good to see you.
Welcome. Hello. Soul and Truth. And I know we want to start today with awakening. It's a huge word, but what does it bring for you what do you understand? What are we talking about?
Yeah, awakening, I think it's a big word where people like get a little bit maybe overwhelmed or scared when they hear it or they can't place it. But at the end, what it means for me, it's kind of waking up in the sense of realizing that there is more of what you believed that was true, or there is more of what you believed about yourself or about life. And yeah, realizing that things that you thought were true for so long maybe are not your truth. Like there are beliefs that were instilled within you, but then the wake up is when you realize like, but I don't really believe that, and there are other options or other ways of thinking. And yeah, coming out of this matrix that it's kind of built that were kind of, yeah, a lot of people maybe believe the same, but then realizing that's not my personal truth.
Yeah, those are like, I feel like those are moments, sometimes big, sometimes smaller, when we really like wake up, like it could be also during the day, and we start changing our beliefs, like letting something huge for us. And there is a new belief born in that moment sometimes. So if you go probably back to your life, what kind of awakening moments can you think of?
Yeah, I think it all started back 5 years ago when I kind of stepped out from the matrix because I resigned my job where I was in, where it was very demanding. I was going to a burnout and I realized, so I kind of stepped out. And it was December 19, so then COVID came and I was like, I'm gonna get a job soon. And then I stayed at home for a whole year. And then it's when I started to have time for myself, I really kind of stepped out of this hamster wheel because I was going in such a fast pace, like I didn't have any time to stop and think. And then this year gave me kind of this space and this time to kind of really reflect, but also expose myself to other ways of thinking. Like I started to watch videos and read books on topics that I never touched before, and they open up a new world for me where I kind of realized, but there is more to it. And yeah, one day when I was watching a video on unconscious parenting is when I kind of this message resonated with my heart, and I realized this is my truth. And then I realized there is even something like my truth. And then I started, like, every topic that came in that kind of sparks my curiosity. I went deeper, and that's when I kind of explored more and could start to shift some beliefs that I had.
I think it's a very good moment, probably. I love two things. One, like the burnout, because so many women today have their work, and most of the time it's a very nice work, but then at some point they get burned out. And then also I loved like COVID, because for all of us it was a moment to slow down, and some of us use it in this brilliant way to start like reading new books that we never thought exist. But I want to ask you, like, because conscious parenting, it's so difficult to be understood. What, like, at this beginning point, when you saw something about conscious parenting, what, what did you get? What was attractive for you?
Yeah, it's difficult to point it. I think I watched one master class of 1 hour, and I never heard that topic before. And really, the feeling that I had is this resonance in my heart. Like it made sense in my head, but it really, I realized this is my truth. And what catch my attention more was the fact that it has to be intentional, or what we do has an impact on the child. And this awareness of, I'm just kind of doing everything the way I think it's right, but I never question anything, like anything really that I stopped or that I was aware of the consequence, or, and that opened like a new perspective of, that's even a topic of kind of being aware. So I kind of started to explore it and read about it. And then when I discovered that you can even become a coach on this topic, like it just resonated so much. And at the beginning I never thought like that it would get so that I would get so far. But also when I discovered about the institute, I was like, yeah, but I'm not psychologist, I don't have that background. And then it just, everything kind of came like, no, it's still possible and I can do it, and I did it. And yeah, it just so naturally evolved into what it is today.
Yeah, it was very interesting because this morning I had this conversation, and I was explaining to someone about conscious parenting, and yes, it is so much about how to connect with the child, but actually explaining to this lady, for me, it's so much important first people to connect to their inner child. So not so much to the child outside, but to the child inside. So for me, conscious parenting is like for everyone, not only for parents who have children, but for everyone who wants to really be an adult and who wants to step in her or his authentic self, and probably from there people start their awakening once you want to meet your true self.
Mm-hmm.
So what
Absolutely.
happened? So what happened next in your journey? What else is an awakening point? Can you share more?
Yeah,
Uh,
I think like
Probably you
really,
started the institute, and in the institute you get so much
yeah,
awakening.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that was a big journey for me, like going through the institute, because there is so much input and so much also working on yourself, also in the coaching that we did, but also looking at the people that came up to do coachings. And yeah, it kind of steers a lot in you, and there are always these beliefs that get like questioned and changed. And so yeah, it's a lot. And also I believe we always talk about this spiritual awakening, but there are a lot of kind of different types of forms of awakening,
Mhm.
or like different topics you can awake into, like in things that society kind of tells you that are truth, but also in relationship, or like, yeah, parenting, we said, holds a lot of the awakening
Ca-
topic.
can you give like an example? You're saying like changing beliefs. Oh, can you give one or two that you changed
Yeah.
probably?
Yeah. So, for example, I remember exactly when I started to work
Mhm.
for the first time in my life, where I really had like a contract, and my first ever like fixed employment that I had after studying. Kind of felt like after already a couple of weeks, I was like, that's not my reality. Like working from 8 till 5, it feels so restrictive, and that 5 times a day. And I felt it in my body, like that's not my reality. But as soon as I would talk to someone, like family, friends, everyone was like, yeah, but what do you think it's life? Like, that's what it is,
Mhm.
right? And then just really, when I said like 5 years ago, when I stepped out of this hamster wheel and exposing myself to other people that have other forms of like how they structure work. I was like, see, that's still possible. And that's, I think, also how you change a belief. Like you can change it once, but you can also change it slowly, because a belief, it's actually a truth that we have, but that gets confirmed over and over and over. So if you want to change it, you need this confirmation. And I was looking for this confirmation. I was like, here there is one, and here there is one, and here there is one. And then I also saw the possibility, like, yeah, that truth that didn't feel right to me. I find all of these examples that prove that you can change this belief of that being kind of the only form of working structure. And that was like one that, for example, I changed, but that I felt like, I don't know how many years ago it is, 15 years ago, but I changed like slowly starting 5 years ago, because before it was kind of not possible for me in the environment I was confirmed
Yes.
over and over.
So what you're saying is we need first to become conscious what is the belief. This is huge because usually we don't know that we have a belief, so there is nothing to be changed. And then I love this hamster wheel because this metaphor, because once you're on this wheel, you don't realize you have a choice.
Mm.
What is happening, you subconsciously believe something, you are not aware of it, and then you don't have any other choice but to do like what it is supposed to do. So the first step is to become slowly conscious, and then from there you have this choice and you can choose whatever actually you want to choose, but you need to connect to your true self and come from a place of abundance and not so much I'm lacking this or that.
Mm.
Yeah, so beautiful. Yeah.
And what is an example that you have from your experience or awakening that was a pivotal moment in your life?
For me, I have so many different awakening moments, but what I figured out, it's very like at the beginning when you start searching for these, I love to call them also like aha moments. So at the beginning, it's very complicated to identify them, but what was so many different really when you have a rich life there are a lot, but for me one big moment was my third child was very sick she was born, everything was perfect, and then the first month she became very sick, she got bronchiolitis, and from there she was constantly sick. And even now, I can get very vulnerable. It's a very difficult moment for a mother. And we were going from one doctor to another, and they really didn't know exactly how to help. And I could see at the same time my child is healthy because she was not skinny. She was eating like normal child, not like a sick one. So I could see that there is something else also that is happening. And this was like sometimes we have these awakening moments when life doesn't give you many other options but to
Mhm.
search for a solution. So I needed to go deep and to find what is happening. So this is when I actually started with psychology. It's been a long time ago. It was before Shefali, but so from this point, I did understand that I want to go more deep, and I understood, okay, probably there are some things that I want to change in my life. It's not her. Sometimes that, not sometimes, always the children are symptoms to something that is happening inside of the family, and they're especially connected in the first years with the mother. So she was like this was like a symptom that something is not working. And from there, a lot of things changed in my life. I divorced. Later on, I understood that it was more about changing my world, my perspective of who I am. So that was huge awakening moment, but it's always like one moment after another. And yeah, but we always have like smaller and bigger ones, and I constantly search for those different moments because they give us so much truth. I have some awakening moments, like really from, I have one of my favorite is when I'm 9. It's another one. And I could see it really shaped my life because I love Italian fashion, and I was in Italy, in Rome. I don't know how, but somehow I entered the Valentino shop without my parents. And I remember like staring at those gowns with feathers. I remember the collection, so beautiful colors. And the lady, she was super nice, but so shocked because like this little child inside of the store. And I had this feeling inside me. And at this moment, I decided I want to create that same feeling for other people.
Oh,
And
wow.
from this on, I decided I want to become a designer, and yes, I did it. Like when I graduated, I was a fashion designer. I worked almost 15, 20 years in this field. And today I continue my journey because now I see I want to create this feeling again for others, but not only through clothing, but through connecting them to their authentic self.
Yeah.
So this was like really huge awakening for me. And I continue realizing how big it is because at this moment, I also made this belief that life is beautiful and I want to create beauty. Even if there is a difficult situation, there is something I want, like it's obvious what is the minus, but I want to find what is the beauty in this moment, what is
Mhm.
like the gold, what we can learn in this moment. So this is probably my biggest awakening, honestly.
Yeah, beautiful. And we can see how it evolved over time, and it's
Yes.
from one place to the other.
Yeah,
It never ends, you know?
so lovely talking to you. I cannot wait till next week and to continue our conversations about the soul and the truth. Have
Yeah.
all of you a beautiful afternoon, wherever you
Thank you
are.
so much. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Alma.
Bye.
Bye.